Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekly Manga Recap here on October the 11th of 2018. I am Nick, here alongside the Plague Doctor Phantom of the Opera,
The
apparently.
Spookmaster General Nick.
Okay, who is apparently a Phantom of the Opera
I am many
Plague Doctor.
things,
Many things, okay.
all of which are spooky. Part vampire, part plague doctor, part werewolf, as I have a
Werewolf.
beard. Yes,
Ah,
that's
okay.
where the hair comes in.
All other horror
Part
monsters
Irish
are
newsy
clean
with the
cut.
flat cap.
Yeah,
All the scariest things.
aside from werewolf, as we all know, all horror creatures are very clean shaven. So, yes.
Vampire, no beards. Frankenstein, no beard. Mummy,
Sure.
no beard.
Well, for all the most of that all makes sense. I mean, you could have a vampire with a beard, but I mean, like, you're not going to have reanimated corpses with facial hair, I don't think.
You could. What if it's like
It's-
a person with a beard who dies in The Walking Dead?
Sure, I guess. I guess Frankenstein could have a beard because that's more recent bodies. Mummy definitely would not, though. It would all decay away, I
Now,
think.
Nick, when you say Frankenstein, are you of course referring to the ever
They're both Frankenstein.
famous Dr. Poopenstein? He's back, Nick. To much fan demand, Dr. Poopenstein joins us back for the podcast.
Is that the same one you had last year?
It's the same one, Nick.
I thought you kept on saying you were going to return it. Now I see you did not. So
I forgot the receipt.
the most horrifying thing that could have happened.
The scariest thing at all.
No refund.
No.
Now it will haunt your bathroom forever, except when you put it in storage.
Exactly. Now, Nick, what are we
Yes.
going to be discussing this week? I'll let you talk while I take a nice, slow sip of my blood juice. It's the label that says blood juice.
It's blood juice. Well, it's so funny that you actually mentioned blood juice, Spookmaster General, because Chris and I are going to be discussing a series that has a lot to do with throwing up blood. It's a
But
series-
Chris is dead, Nick, as discussed last week.
He's
And the
dead.
Spookmaster General's power goes stronger with each night.
Except when you get really hot and don't want to wear the mask.
Oh, then it's unbearable. It's so uncomfortable then. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure if it's the way my head sits naturally, but the mask isn't really fitting itself very well either. You can probably see my eye should be right here. It's not. So,
Yeah, but
You
that,
know.
yeah. It seems as though it was designed for someone who has less space between their eyes and their nose. So
you're saying I have a small nose, Nick.
that is not what I'm saying.
It was a
I'm
big
saying that-
nose.
No, I'm saying that you have a different amount of space between your eyes and your nose than is intended by someone with the mask.
I choose to take this as a compliment.
Okay, so Bloody Monday is the series that we're talking about this week. It turned out to be less of a Halloween series than I was thinking, and more of a kind of a spy thriller sort of series. I think I'm going to start very basic on this because if I start getting into any detail, then I'm going to get very worked up very quickly. So I will say that the premise of the series is that there is a terrorist organization that is threatening to unleash a horrible genocide virus on Japan. And the hero of the series that is trying to stop them is a kid named Takagi Fujimaru. And he is a high school student who is an ace hacker who can hack anything and do all sorts of stuff. And so it's up to him to take down this terrorist organization and stop them from unleashing the virus. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, I will say go ahead and just stop listening to this and go read it, because by the time that I'm done talking about it, you will either not want to read it at all, or you'll be so morbidly curious that you will want to check it out based on that alone. So I think that this is your last chance, basically, to check it out without uh, me completely swaying your opinion on it. Okay, are they all gone? People do.
Yes. It's only us now, Nick.
Okay, okay.
We can express our true feelings to one another.
Okay, this manga's stupid.
Oh!
It's I had a great time reading it, but it's garbage. It's so dumb. This is
Now, before you begin, what kind of garbage is it? Is it like Air Gear garbage? Is it
it's Future Diary.
kind of
It's Future Diary
Okay.
garbage. It's just so dumb, and it thinks it's being so clever. It's like if someone, saw Death Note and wanted to do a series like Death Note with a lot of intrigue and lots of spies and intelligence agencies trying to trick each other. And something larger than life on the line that all comes down to a single teenager and what he can do with this one tool that's right in front of him. And everyone's lying to each other. There's a bunch of betrayals and deception going on. But instead of being written by someone who was suited for that kind of series, it was the writers of Agent Cody Banks. Like,
Not a movie well beloved for its plot.
no, not really, no. Frankie Muniz snowboards with rockets down a mountain. That's what I remember from that movie.
But it was Frankie Muniz and what's her name? Amanda
Hilary
Bynes.
Duff.
Oh, well,
Hilary
Amanda Bynes was in the second one, wasn't she?
No, that was some other random person. Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes were in Big Fat Liar. Big Fat Liar.
Yeah.
With Paul Giamatti.
There we go. I guess in my mind, Hilary Duff's still right on that level. Maybe that was the teen romance that all the kids were clamoring for back in the days.
Frankie Muniz and Hilary Duff.
Sure, why not?
They did work on a couple of different things together, and he showed up as himself, I think, on Lizzie McGuire one time, which is kind of weird.
Like as Frankie Muniz,
As Frankie
everyone
Muniz.
was like, "Oh my
Oh my
God,
God.
Frankie Muniz!"
Oh my God, Lizzie knows Frankie Muniz. Do you think that they're going to get married? So, stuff like that. I don't know. I didn't watch that episode. I remember seeing commercials for it. It wasn't my show, so
I don't think I ever watched an episode of Lizzie McGuire.
I saw a couple.
Was she supposed to be insane?
She did that thing that a lot of 90s and early 2000s teen girl centric shows did, which was she had a cartoon version of herself expressing her inner thoughts.
Was there another show that did that?
Yeah, didn't Clarissa Explains It All do that?
I don't remember one. She had Ferguson. Well, she had no. There was one episode where she had a video game where she kept pushing over a ladder so Sam couldn't get into her house.
I don't know who any of these characters are.
Their relationship became complicated. There's a teacher at some point. Hold on. Clarissa. Oh, typing so hard with this mask.
This is what you bring the Spookmaster General onto the show for.
This is what I'm here for. Tangents.
Okay, so Crobo in the chat explains that Clarissa just broke the fourth wall. I don't know if there were any other shows that had a cartoon avatar that was their way of just, having her just like, by the way, this is what I'm thinking right now. So, yeah.
Oh, Nick, the 90s of this show is painful. Side ponytails in every shot.
Anyway, so I don't even know where to start on this show, honestly. Okay, so we start this manga in Russia, where super secret spy, who we later find out is named Maya, unleashes virus and kills a guy, and this is an incident that is covered up by all the governments and stuff because, a horrible bioagent killed a bunch of people. And then we immediately cut to Fujimaru and his friends in the newspaper club. And they're going to expose a teacher who sexually exploits people. And he's really mean to all the students. And he he has all of these like sexual blackmail on the girls in the class. And Fujimaru, turns out, is a super hacker, and he hacks into his computer and finds his files and exposes him. Oh, and takes him down. And it turns out that Fujimaru is an infamous hacker nicknamed the Falcon, and whenever he hacks, his eyes become falcon eyes, which took me like 37 chapters to realize that was what they were doing, because every time it did, I was just thinking that he had cat's eyes, and then I didn't make the connection until like 40 chapters in. He is the Falcon, and he swoops in on bad people with his hacky skills, and he hacks them and exposes them for the bad stuff that they're doing. And somehow he apparently has already had a run-in with this terrorist organization that ran the virus thing. And due to something that you don't find out until like 40 chapters or 50 chapters into the series, they specifically need him to check his email.
Like,
that's what.
Just
that's
check
what,
his email at all?
So for like 50 chapters of this 96 chapter series, and there are like multiple sequel series that I did not bother checking out, there is this thing going on where they need him to do something. And you don't know what it is. They keep on trying to get him to erase this video file because there's video footage of this outbreak of this virus in Russia. And there are apparently clues as to how to stop it hidden in this file, they think. So at first it seems like, oh, well, they need him to hack into this government organization that he works with called Third Eye, because he designed the security program and he's a super hacker, hacky hacker. And so only he can break through it in order to delete this file. And then they're going to steal like the backup or something like that. The terrorists are. So they need him to do this. And they start doing this in the most insane way possible. His dad is a high-ranking member of the organization. And so they frame him for a crime that he did not commit. And Fujimaru was like, I've got to clear his name. And there's so much that happens. Okay, so there are some people who know the truth about Fujimaru's father. So one of them shows up at his house in order to protect his little sister, and she starts protecting his little sister. But then an assassin shows up and shoots her in the gut, and he's an insane assassin who takes meds because he's so crazy. And he shoots her once in the gut and then doesn't double tap her, and no one questions this until like 25 chapters later, when it turns out that the bodyguard that was supposedly loyal to Fujimaru's dad was actually a spy working for Third Eye, because they really needed him to do this one thing that you don't find out until like chapter 50, Chris. So then they kidnap her. They kidnap Fujimaru's little sister and then let her go. Because
after injecting her with like a deadly virus or something like that, right?
No.
Oh.
No.
After receiving the ransom money they requested.
So what happens is Maya, who is this super terrorist spy girl, explains when they kidnap her and then release her into the hospital, and then a guy shows up and just gets into the hospital and kills the one other witness. They kidnap her again. And so Fujimaru is like, oh no, well, she's got my little sister has kidney problems, and she needs to take her dialysis medication every 2 or 3 days or else she'll die. So that's what the time crunch is, Chris. That's why they need to save her before it's too late, because she will have kidney failure and die if they don't.
Now, you mentioned Maya, and I just want to check. Is Maya the sexy underwear lady?
Yes.
Okay. So I only read a couple chapters of this because I just didn't have the time, and one of the few I read, she's the only real constant as like walking around in her underwear after killing people, and I was like, all right.
I'll talk about her more later. She is very emblematic of the series' failures. So, uh, one of the other terrorists who is working for Maya says, "Well, why did we kidnap her and let her go and kidnap her again?" And she says, "Ah, you see, kidnapping her and releasing her will let Falcon know that we can be bargained with, and this way he will do something for us so that he can get his sister back." And it's like, you kidnapped her literally like hours after letting her go. You didn't even give them time to breathe. So, and of course, instead of doing any of that stuff, Fujiwara was just like, "I hacked the traffic lights, so therefore we can pin them down in this alleyway, and the government guys that are loyal to us will do it." And we did, and so we saved her without having to do the thing. Anyway, we got my sister back, and she definitely won't be kidnapped 3 more times in this series before it's over. Things happen over and over in this series. There are 2 things that it loves doing. 1, kidnapping Fujimaru's sister, and 2, revealing that a character that you thought was loyal to the good guys is actually a terrorist, which it pulls literally half a dozen times. It just happens over and over again. Whenever the series runs into a corner, it's just like, this person's actually a bad guy. It can be the government agent.
Nick, are you spitting over yourself in frothing anger?
There's a government agent who goes to protect the kids, and she's actually a terrorist. There's Maya, who is the one that you actually start the series knowing about, who kills the Russians at the beginning, and she poses as a teacher. There's this one barely supporting character's mother and her brother and his and uncle. There's this the final okay, so there is like 4 members along with Fujimaru of this newspaper club, and one of them is his Sasuke kind of. Well, not his rival, but, his cool, more mature friend. He's the president of the club, and he's got mad archery skills. Then there is this girl who goes along with them on missions because she knows karate, and she basically gets really weird around Fujimaru's dad and makes it seem like they're going to be a couple or something like that. Then there is the kid who his stepmother and his stepmother's brother are undercover terrorists, and that's why he's involved in the plot. And then there is a girl who is just there until about 50 chapters into the series. All of a sudden she gets infected with this virus, and they're like, "Oh no, we have to save her." And then 40 chapters later, it turns out she's the main bad guy.
Oh,
like,
that sounds fiendish, Nick. The twist you never expected. The villain was beneath our notice the whole time. Beyond our interest, you could say.
Well, that's the thing, is that if it were on the level of like Fujimaru, of the main friend that Fujimaru has in the club, who this guy is important because he's like the prime minister's grandson or something like that. But he is one of the more important characters in the series because basically, if Fujimaru is not doing something, this guy is somewhere else doing something because he's the other young, attractive, super smart, and competent guy. So the series is following him essentially when it's not following Fujimaru. So it'd be like, okay, if it were something, if the guy were around as much as this guy was, then maybe it make sense for that to be the twist, or at the least it would be the dramatic payoff. But you throw 5 people at us. They're like, these guys are the newspaper club. And then it turns out that either they have either some absurd combat ability or are connected by someone very highly ranked politically or in the terrorist organization, or they're just the main bad guy apparently, but you don't find out about that until she hasn't been around for like 7 volumes in a row. And then all of a sudden she shows up and is like, we have to save her life because she's going to die. And then it turns out 6 volumes later, no, I'm actually the bad guy. And I had a vaccine for the virus implanted in me all before this. So I'm actually evil and crazy, and we must destroy Japan. Ah! And also, almost none of the villains actually seem to have anything bad happen to them. Like, there's this one subsection of the terrorist group that is working against Fujiwara through most of it, and then at the end, they just, like, are on a beach and are like, well, we better go home. Like, they don't get captured. They don't have to pay for their crimes for kidnapping, conspiracy, plotting to release a biological agent and commit genocide. None of that happens to them because I guess they're saving that for part 2, which I did not read, like I said. So, but you mentioned Maya, the underwear girl.
Sexy underwear lady. Yep.
Sexy underwear lady. There is literally a point when, like, the villains have not been around for a very small amount of time, then they show back up again, and she's wearing a biker outfit, and her biker jacket is open to expose her lacy black bra. Like, cut down below her boobs.
As you often do when you ride motorcycles,
riding a motorcycle.
You want to let your breasts feel the wind.
Yes. So she is the first antagonist that you meet in the series. And she is this super spy who you don't know at the beginning why she's, wanting to get so close to Fujiwara without, killing him as he's finding shit out. And then it turns out later, they need him for something. And she's just really bad at this. Like, you're supposed to believe that she is this master of disguise, subterfuge, and just, going without notice. And so Fujimaru, at this point in the series, has already been contacted by the government agency because he hacked into their system when he was in middle school or something like that. So now he works for them because he's such a good hacker. I don't know where he learned his hacking skills. Literally, his father works for the government organization, and the way that they found out that he was the hacker was that he found out about something and went to his dad and was like, I know who is doing this thing, Dad. I'm the super hacker Falcon. And so they were like, okay, well, we're going to bring you on now as our cybersecurity expert, but you will be given increasingly more security clearances as this series goes on. And nobody in our secret government organization is capable of doing anything without your help. So he's currently already working on decrypting this file that someone has sent to him that they already know has to do with this thing that happened in Russia. And so he's trying to decrypt it. And because he's a stupid teenager, he keeps on, being like, oh, Maya Sensei is super hot, boobs. So she gets close to him and is like, this is the secret hacker Falcon. So I have to stop him from decrypting this file, which they later want him to do something else. So I don't know why she bothered doing that. So she pretends to be a dumb blonde and puts his laptop in the microwave and blows it up. Now, how he did not notice her picking up his laptop and putting it in a microwave, I do not know.
I mean, that's supposed to be a big-ass microwave, too, to fit a whole laptop in it.
Just get in there.
She's like, oh my god, does the laptop go here? I'm so clumsy. Get the fuck in there!
Well, and she was like, oh, I thought it was your lunch. I don't know technology.
Fuck? I thought it was your lunch?
So this turns out to be for a second reason as well, which is that she gets him a replacement laptop and is just like, oh, I just, got a really good laptop that was available at the Walmart or something like that. And of course, it's been modified so that it will, key text spoof him and all sorts of stuff. And so somehow, he looks in the video file after, he doesn't have the laptop when this is going on. It takes a little while for her to give that to him. So he just goes to the computer club room with the entire newspaper club and her for some reason. It's like, I have to do this thing. So I'm going to hack and go and get a bunch of other computers slaving and working for me so that I can basically make a supercomputer so that I can decrypt this file. There, let's watch all the Russians coughing up blood and dying. And then they're like, huh, what's going on here? Yes, I see. This is crazy. Wow, I can't believe this is going on. Then later on, he's watching the file and he's like, huh, wait a minute. I see something here. Okay. Enhance. Zoom. Enhance. Zoom and enhance. Enhance. And then it's like, oh my god, that woman with sunglasses looks like Maya Sensei. Could she be the one who has caused this outbreak in Russia? So he literally goes up to her and is like, where were you on Christmas?
She's like, putting your laptop in the microwave again. Beep, beep, beep. Oh, I'm so clumsy. Conversation's over now, right? Look at my boobs.
So she's like, well, I went to a video store and I bought a video. And he's like, okay. So he goes to this video store and is like, did you see this woman here on Christmas? And they're like, I don't fucking know, dude. So he's like, And he's like, goes across to the internet cafe across the street and is like, I'll hack into their security system. All right, I've hacked into their security system and now I can view the tapes on Christmas. Oh, yeah. Well, there she is. I guess she really was there, and that clears her name. And then Maya Sensei walks up to him right as he's doing that and is like, what are you doing, Fujimaru? He's like, oh yeah, well, I just had to follow up on your alibi. And yeah, I just hacked into their security system and it turns out you really did just go there on Christmas. So she's like, oh, I'm glad to know that my name's been cleared. Thank goodness. And she's like, meanwhile, he's been using the laptop that I gave him that has been spoofed so that we can follow his every movement and control him. So why do you want to know, Chris, why it turns out that this airtight alibi of hers turns out to actually be a lie?
Well, she sounds concrete. Like he has proof that she was where she said she was. So I mean, to his logic, he's like, I guess she's perfect, you know? I guess she really is just an idiot who's never seen technology before. Is like, is this a sandwich? I should heat it up.
So what happens is Fujimaru keeps going about his business, trying to do all this shit. And then he talks to, hang on, I actually have to look up this guy's name. But he talks to his best friend's name. And he's like, yeah, so I looked up the footage of her on Christmas, and it turns out that, yeah, she was just at a video store. She couldn't possibly have been in Russia doing this. And then he's like, Fujimaru, that doesn't explain her innocence at all. That's not proof at all. And so you don't find out why until later. But I'll just tell you now, it's because Russians celebrate Christmas on a different day. So
shit. That's like a Sherlock Holmes level twist where you're like, oh, the answer was right there the whole time. I'm stupid.
So they realize this and they decide to go to Maya Sensei's house to investigate some stuff. And they start talking to her. And meanwhile, all this other like spy stuff has been going on with kidnappings and shit. So, so Maya has just gotten done taking a hot and sensuous shower when the boys show up at her door. So she goes out in like a robe or something like that and answers the door like you do. And so they're like, okay, yeah, so all this stuff has been going on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So thanks for letting us in, hearing us out on all this. And she's like, thank you. Yeah. By the way, I'm going to go get dressed. And so she goes into her bedroom to put clothes on. And then, all right, this is going to really bother me if I can't actually remember this guy's name because he's like the third most important character in the series. Otoya.
Oh, I was going to say Jumbo.
Otoya. So Otoya and Fujimaru start talking really loudly when they're out there, and Fujimaru's like, oh, what? Oh, I've got to go. There's an emergency. I got a phone call. And so she comes back outside of her room, and only Otoya's there, and she's like, oh, well, what happened? It's like, oh, family emergency. And then they talk a little bit more. And then she's like, okay, well, all right, goodbye. I'm going to leave. And then and then she leaves as well after he leaves. And then it's like, and then he gets on his phone and is like, "Are you in?" And Fujimaru is like, "Yes." And he went into the bathroom and hid in the tub instead of actually leaving because there was no family emergency. And now he's inside of her place. And so this super secret spy did not think to fucking check the entire place after she left two guys alone in her living room to see if one of them was hiding when she knew one of them was suspicious of her.
What's strange to me is that the old plan of like, well, I guess I'm leaving now. Slam! Apparently must have worked on her if he didn't actually leave. Like, the other guy must just be like, all right, Fujimaru, I guess I'll catch you later. Yep, sure thing. Whatever your name is. Slam! All right, I'm going to run upstairs and hide in the bathroom. Like, what if she had to take a piss before she left and she's just like...
Well, that's the thing, Chris, is that they say, like, well, she answered the door after just having taken a shower. There's no reason she would have taken a second shower in a row after that.
Like,
so they're trying to act all smart about it. So they try to act all smart about it, but it's like, it's a good thing. The reality of the situation is it's a good thing we got here right when she'd taken a shower, but before she managed to change her clothes. Otherwise, she would have never left us alone in her fucking living room by ourselves. So...
they're high-fiving each other over this. Like, dude, bro, she's never going to take a second shower or for any reason go inside her bathroom where she might just, like, kind of sense me or hear me or anything like that. Like, it's really fortunate that happened.
So...
And she didn't think it was suspicious we were shouting everything from the comfort of her living room. What's that? A family emergency? I guess you better go handle that.
So fucking...
She bought it. Hide in the bathtub.
So, he goes into her bedroom and finds her laptop and is like, there's probably something on her laptop. But I have to actually properly hack into it. And then it turns out, oh no, she's coming back. What do I do? Oh no. Well, if I stay here, she'll just catch me. But if I leave, she's got a security system, and I'll set it off, and she'll know that I broke into her place. So, and so he basically like waits outside and pretends that he was just getting in, and then acts like someone else broke in, and somehow she buys this.
Wait, what?
He basically goes outside of her apartment and is then like, oh yeah, it turns out that there was no family emergency, and I wanted to talk to you about something else. Oh. Do you hear that? It sounds like your burglar alarm is going off. Quick, give me your key and let's go inside and I'll confront them. And then he is like, I'll just pretend to be unlocking the door. Aha! Get out of here. Get out of here, burglar. I'm 15 years old and a super hacker, and that means I can kick your ass.
So wait a minute. His process of like, oh, I've been caught is to say like, just to hang outside the door, and he's like, oh, your alarm's going off. Not because of me. I was just conveniently going into the house at the same time as this happening. But you give me your key, which I'm not sure why I would request that normally, but I'll scare away the intruder who you won't see. And then we're going to have this super serious conversation I was going to, and you'll be none the wiser.
So after he's acted super suspicious, he comes inside. And he keeps on trying to keep her occupied long enough for him to go back into her bedroom where the laptop is, because he has like a thumb drive in it that's running a program. And so he's got to be able to buy enough time for it to work and then to go and retrieve the information. But she's actually finally alert about all this. And so she keeps on finding ways to get around the fact that he keeps trying to get her to leave him alone long enough to sneak over to her laptop again. So eventually he realizes that he can't do it. So he just says that he found something on her computer and he's found proof that she's a spy. And so instead of calling his bluff, which he's clearly bluffing, she's immediately like, oh, I can't let you live, and just takes a gun out and points at him. And he's like, aha, I knew it. And then...
Gotcha. She's like, I have a gun to you. Obviously, I'm not worried about hiding my identity. And he's like, no. I got you.
Well, see, what should have happened was just like, she should have just maintained her cover to the end if she knew anything about being an undercover spy. She should have been like, what the fuck are you talking about, Because he didn't have anything. And she's thinking to herself, like, there's no way that he has anything. He couldn't have actually hacked into my laptop. But he's not that good. He's like, I did hack your laptop, and I found the proof that you were in Russia. And so she's like, I have to kill him, takes the gun out, and then she gets hit by a fucking arrow in the shoulder, which comes through her window. Because it turns out, Chris, that one, Otoya is an expert archer, and two, he was not actually leaving. He was waiting outside, spying on them the whole time. And so he has the ability to fucking shoot an arrow through a window and disarm a person with a gun before they have the chance to pull the trigger. And so they're like, and that arrowhead is laced with that arrowhead is laced with chloroform. So good night, we gotcha, bitch. So then they turn her over to the police, and she gets fucking interrogated. And all of a sudden, she's a mega super spy because she's like, I will never break. You can't possibly get me to crack and reveal any information. For that, you'd have to pretend that you hacked my computer when you really hadn't.
This sounds stupid.
So while she's in jail for a little bit, people are like, hey, Fujimaru, Maya Sensei gave you that laptop. Maybe you shouldn't use that laptop since, she's an evil terrorist. And she's like, no, it's okay. I ran scans and didn't find anything on it. So... Now it turns out he didn't find everything on it. But he was just like, I didn't find anything when I ran, fucking AVG's antivirus software.
He's like, I did a whole disk defragmentation. She can't have possibly put something that got past that.
And he's also like, oh my god. So they go to do some more stuff. And Maya eventually ends up trying to cut a plea deal with the police, and they're like, okay, fine. And so Fujimaru goes with her, with this agent called Kuso, and with the bodyguard who miraculously survived getting shot in the chest because she was wearing a bulletproof vest named Hosho. And all four of them leave. And so Fujimaru is like, the only way that they could have found out something or another, I can't remember all the details of this bullshit series, is if there was a spy within the Third Eye police organization. But who could the spy be? And so he writes down on his laptop something that says, like, the spy is Kuso. And so they're like, we just have to hold Kuso and Maya Sensei here in order to stop them. And he sends this message out. And Hosho is reading over his shoulder and is like, oh, we know who the spy is, so we just have to stop them. And then it turns out, no, Hosho is actually the spy. And somehow Fujimaru actually thought of the fact that, oh yeah, the crazy psychopath assassin didn't think to shoot her in the head. He shot her once in the gut and then did nothing else to her because she was the spy. And he wrote the message out in a way so that if it appeared on a cell phone screen, like the boss who he sent it to, then it would have characters that appeared vertically and spelled out a different message. So it's a good thing, Chris, that he knew the exact dimensions of the cell phone he was sending it to, or else it would have just, come out as complete fucking nonsense, and that would be crazy. So from there, all of the super awesome intelligence stuff that Fujimaru has been doing gets thrown out the window for about 15 chapters, and he becomes the most emotional, unintelligent idiot because he just has no chill. He knows for a fact who the spy is. And then Maya goes like, yeah, she's the spy. And he's like, could she be the spy? Why would she confirm that she's the spy? What does that mean, that she's not the spy and I'm wrong? Why would she tell me that she's the spy? And then of course they fuck up and Maya and Hosho get away. And they kidnap Fujimaru after they hold him at gunpoint and are like, now you're going to give a video message saying that you were actually wrong about who the spy was and it was actually Kuso, who we just shot in the head. And he's like, yes, okay, so this happened. And they're like, all right, good job. Now you're coming with us and you're going to do some hacky hack stuff for us. And he's like, I'm not going to do hacky hack stuff for us. And they're like, well, okay, but you just buckled under pressure when we told you to lie to the police. And he's like, yeah, but that was one little lie. That's different. And then they're like, well, as a result of that, we now have your sister captive and are going to kill her if you don't do this. And this is as a result of what you did. And he's like, oh, no, why did I do the thing? So he has to hack for them or else they'll kill his sister. So he's like trying to buy time. And he's like, oh, well, see, the security system I made is super awesome. and it will take me a really long time to hack it. And they're like, you have 5 minutes. And to make sure that you hack it properly and delete the file that we tell you to delete, we have our IT expert here so that he will know when you actually delete the file or if you just copy and then delete the copy. I don't know how computers work. So they sit down and he's like, oh, I've only got 5 minutes to hack the security system that I designed in order to actually do this thing, or else they'll kill my little sister. And then the kid outside and the boss is like, yeah, actually, if it takes him more than 5 minutes, you can give him a little bit more time. We just wanted him to act under pressure and make sure that he didn't have time to try and fool around. That's why we took that precaution. And then they go back inside and the IT guy's like, I can't believe it. He finished so quickly. Fujimaru was like, yeah, the me who would design that security system would have failed, but that was the me of several years ago. It's like, you don't get to gloat in that situation. It's like, yeah, you just forced me to do a thing that you wanted me to. Yeah. Now, because I buckled under pressure and did exactly what you wanted because I'm really not good at this super spy thing until I am really good at it in about 5 chapters.
That's how.
So there's so much stuff that goes on that's so stupid. I don't have time to cover absolutely everything, but there came a point in the series where I was calling dumb twists as they were being set up. And literally the worst part was a little bit after that point where the terrorists pretend to release the virus, which they do at least twice, and I think more times beyond that. They pretend to release the virus. And so the police are like, we have to send in, a hazmat suit team so that they will be able to contain this. Okay, the guy who released the virus ran into here. Oh, hey, random factory worker. Yeah, the virus has been released on the premises, so get in this ambulance and we'll make sure to treat you. Okay. Wait a minute, that guy was the guy who released the virus. Because they're like, wait a minute, well, we thought it couldn't be the guy who released the virus because he wasn't wearing a hazmat suit. But if he's a terrorist, he would have been inoculated against it already. So that was the terrorist. Literally, that happens 2 pages. 2 pages after they tell the factory worker to get on an ambulance and leave. And at that point, I literally just said, it's like, that's the guy who released the virus, come on. And then 2 pages later, I was right! And that happens so much. There is so much people falling for basic ass fucking deception in this series because they just take it immediately at face value without stopping to think about it. These are people who are a fucking anti-terrorist organization and super deceptive assholes trying to bring down an entire government, and none of them know how to actually see through deception. There is one character who figures out one thing that's going on, and he immediately became my favorite character because he sees exactly what Fujimaru is trying to do when it happens, and he actually gets away when it's happening. And I was literally counting down the time until he fell for something stupid, and it was 10 chapters later when Fujimaru hacked into everyone's walkie-talkie Bluetooth headsets in order to get them to disrupt communications with each other.
Was it satisfying, Nick? You've spoken a lot. You've had a lot of interesting thoughts. It seems as though this is a series that has caused you no sense of, I don't want to say stress so much as it is attention to detail. But ultimately, is this a glorifiedly spooky series?
It's not really spooky, is the thing about it. It's, like I said, it's a thriller. It's an action spy thriller, and it's a shonen series, so it's very much like, the protagonist a lot of the time seems invincible. Like, this is a guy who gets into a gunfight and wins it by hacking things. Literally, what happens
Please
is that...
Please tell me he hacks the other guy's gun and it's just a normal gun. They, hacked it somehow.
Well, what happens is that there's this assassin who is trying to kill Fujimaru and his dad and some of his friends, and he's like, I've hacked into this entire building, so I've hacked into all the computers in here, and he basically just caused them to make a bunch of weird noises, and he turns out the lights and sets off the sprinkler system and stuff, and just distracts the guy enough until he eventually gets punched in the face, and then he chops the guy's arm off by having a security door fall on top of his arm. Yeah. The most flabbergasting moment in the entire series, though, was well, there's two, actually. One is when Hosho, who was the spy, shows up to kidnap Haruka again. Haruka's Fujimaru's younger sister. And Otoya is there, and he thinks that she's acting really suspicious, so he just throws a cup of coffee at her. And it's like, oh, why did you do that? And she takes her jacket off and reveals she's got a bullet wound. Why didn't you tell us about that bullet wound? You're acting really suspicious, you know. The other was, and I swear this is true, so Fujimaru has figured out where the antivirus is. And so he goes there, right as Maya is going there. And she corners him right when he's managed to grab it. And so he has to run through these shelves of medical supplies and stuff while she's got a gun and is trying to kill him. And so he like gathers some stuff up while he's running away from her, and then manages to like throw some flour on her and set it on fire so that it causes an explosion. And then it's revealed that he's been on his laptop this whole time. And I swear to God, he Googled how to use home supplies to create an explosion. And he says at the end of the chapter, really triumphantly, "You can learn anything on the internet!"
Like, I imagine him going onto Google and being like, household objects that can cause bombs, and like clicks a video that's like, top 11 household objects you didn't know were dangerous. And he's like, come on. I don't have time to like, share, and subscribe. Get to the good stuff.
No! Oh no, an ad! Another ad!
I don't have time for this Destiny 2 ad. Come on! Put Aldrich in the ground already and let me get to the good stuff.
I don't care if there are hot singles in my area who want to have fun.
He's on Braziers now. He's like, maybe the porn website will have it. Which, ironically, guys, good life pro tip, if you're looking for leaks of anything, porn websites are the best place to look for them. That's where, like, gameplay footage will leak, or you can find the good movies. Some of the best 360 no-scope compilations, Pornhub.
And that about covers it for Bloody Monday. Yeah, Pornhub advice there from the Spookmaster General.
The Spookmaster.
So, yeah, to draw it all to a close, Chris, this was a very stupid series. But I was not bored reading it, and it reached a point where it was unintentionally hilarious on a consistent basis. If not for the fact that it was also really frustrating how stupid some of the characters are, despite the fact that it's supposed to be a very intelligent series, then I would probably actually recommend this. I think it's actually really good if you've got kind of a thing for bad series, though.
Okay.
It's not boring, and that's the highest praise that I can give it.
Not like Venom. Venom's boring, Nick.
That's unfortunate.
Well, it's boring for half of it, and then it just gets stupid.
Okay.
Carry on.
Is the stupid half fun, at least?
Not fun enough.
Okay. Not fun enough to justify the boring half.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fortunately, we don't have all of the series to talk about this week. So we are, from here, going to go into the recap portion of Weekly Manga Recap. And not have to talk about 12 series, at least. We're going to start things off, I think, with My Hero Academia, if you're cool with that. Do the usual deal.
Yeah, wait.
Oh, fuck.
I can't. This fucking mask makes it so hard to find. Get out of here, Dr. Poopenstein! Alright, we're good now. I'm in My Hero.
Let's talk about My Hero Academia, chapter number 201, Foresight. Last time, Kendo team had managed to get Yaoyorozu separated from her team, and Kendo was going to one-on-one subdue her, but Yaoyorozu was sparkling with her creative ability. And in this chapter, she opens up by summoning a cannon from her torso. Yep. And so Kendo's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then Yaoyorozu's like, "No, I'm just kidding." And then she turns the cannon away and shoots it somewhere else. And right when she fires it, Kendo's like, maybe she's trying to blow up the wall that's separating us from everybody else, but I have to stop her. And she hits it with her big fist ability and knocks its trajectory off course. But it turns out she wasn't actually trying to destroy the wall. She was just launching something over it. And it turns out that she sent a package over to her friends in order to help them out. And Tokoyami, who is really getting the crap beaten out of him, along with Hagakure, who is just completely covered in mushrooms at this point. And Aoyama gets kidnapped again. So that sucks. So Tokoyami realizes that something is being shot out, and so he grabs Hagakure and flies them over towards it, and it's revealed to be Yaoyorozu's lucky bag. Oh no, she sent them a loot box, Chris. It might be completely worthless.
It could have like 6 or 7 really good. Sometimes you get like just a couple good pulls, and that's all you really need out of it. It also depends on the type of loot it is. Sometimes you'll get like in-game currency of some kind that lets you buy whatever you want. Those ones are pretty good because then you can eventually get it.
Yeah, eventually get the thing that you just have only a 0.01% chance of actually pulling. Mm-hmm. So
if Jeff was here, he'd give us the gotcha odds of what Yaoyorozu's bag actually contains.
Yeah.
So at like a 0.001%, you get a chance of like a shiny Yaoyorozu. And it doesn't do anything special. It's just kind of for like bragging purposes. It's pretty cosmetic.
Yeah, well, it's October now, so it would be.
Oh, you get her witch skin, yeah.
Yeah. And Tokoyami would be a bat. An invisible girl would wear a sheet.
That would be so. You'd make her so much more worthless when you put a sheet on her, taking away the only thing her power does for her.
So Tokoyami flies them over to the lucky bag, and this also takes them away from their opponents as well. We cut over to Kurohiro and Komori, the mushroom girl, and the shadowy guy, and all of a sudden Kurohiro seems very like shy and uncertain, and I get the sense that this is just how he normally is if he's not around a fellow
Minister
goth. Yeah. He's just like, I put Ayame in the cage. Yeah. And she's like, I make mushroom puns. That's her thing. Well, she makes mushroom puns.
She makes boom puns. Also, she didn't just make a cannon. She made a candy corn. Ooh. I need more blood juice.
Okay, so Tokoyami is now wearing thermal goggles because that's one of the things that was in the lucky bag. The other stuff was an antifungal spray, so they'll be able to get all the mushrooms off of themselves that have sprouted everywhere, which is especially helpful for Hagakure, who's just basically completely covered in them. It's actually rather horrifying. And now they can see through the shadows where their opponents are hiding and track them down. And so Tokoyami is like, good job. Yaoyorozu, she was actually already planning for this way back when we first got caught off our guard. She was preparing all of this stuff. And the thermal goggles are even fitted to my weird fucking face. Meanwhile, so Tokoyami is flying after Kurohiro and Komori. Meanwhile, Hagakure sneaks up by Fukudashi to take him down. So Tokoyami unleashes one of his new techniques, Abyssal Black Body Sabbath. Really rapid attack, wraps up Komori in dark shadow, and then he just like Kurihiro is like, oh no, I need to find something black to hide in, and he's like, well, you can just hide in my cape, and just grabs him and then stuffs him inside of it. It's honestly a really badass little moment for him, despite the fact that it's immediately followed up with him getting his shit kicked in. But it's like, hey, took down for a brief second, you took down two at once, so that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, he hasn't knocked out Komori, and so she just immediately uses her ability to fucking put mushrooms in his windpipe and choke him out. Okay.
It's kind of metal. It's very Halloweenish. She almost killed the kid.
Monoma observes from the sidelines that, yeah, she's not much of a fighter, but she's fucking scary. What he should have done is just knock her out cold. Tokuyami kind of took this lightly at the end, and that's why he fell. And then we cut over to where Fukudashi is getting his shit kicked in by Hagakure. And it's actually really funny visual because it's just impacts around him. He's like, ah!
He's like, stop it!
But then she gets grabbed by Kendo. Kendo has shown up, snags her one of her big hands, and then she says, yeah, I'm sorry I'm late. She's out cold, but with her last breath, she tied me into herself, and I had to drag her and the cannon around. So it slowed me down a lot. And that's the end of the fight, basically. Kendo says that it doesn't really feel like a victory because Yayorozu did kind of outthink her, even if she did win the fight in the end. So even though it's an overwhelming victory for Class 1B, 4-0, we did get to see some cool stuff that Class 1A did. So
this is one of those chapters I kind of hate in shonen manga where, and I understand it, it's that thing of like, everybody kind of wins. When you're like, in my mind, my mind's like, just say Class 1B won. Like, because they did. Like, not in just a sense of like, oh, they won the battle. Like, even what they're saying, like, yeah, Yayorozu thought them all. It's like, she didn't really, because by the time she even got her supplies over there, Aoyama was already removed from the fight. And they had already put in such, like, odds that they separated fucking Invisible Girl from everybody else. Like, their plan worked. They separated everybody. Kendo was always going to beat Yayorozu because Yayorozu wasn't going to beat her in a one-on-one fight kind of deal. Like, it's just one of those things. It's like, I guess it's their way of being like, nobody in the team really lost to Class 1A. I'm just like, oh, fuck it. Just say they won. They did. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I think that in the last fight, the people in Class 1B also kind of showed the same thing. Like, on an individual level, they outperformed Class 1A, but then they lost the match at the end. And I understand that, the results were very different because this was a much more overwhelming defeat, and that one was a close victory because it was 4-2. If they would have lost if pardon me, if everyone but Tsuyu got taken down, then they would have still lost. And in this one, it kind of came down to like, okay, well, Tokuyami, if he had actually been a little bit more ruthless at that point, then maybe they would have still stood a chance because he's probably a better fighter than with his current abilities than Kendo and Fumikage. But I really liked this chapter personally. I understand your point, but for one thing, it felt like a really good clash of different abilities. There was a lot of stuff that was going on in this. This is, for one thing, one of the few times we've gotten to see Hagakure do anything, even if it was just like punch a guy for a few seconds and then get grabbed. But there was a lot of stuff that Yayorozu got to do. Tokuyami seems like he's gotten a really big power up, and we got to see some really interesting stuff in this fight. So I really enjoyed this, and actually really enjoyed this result. It felt like it was a good conclusion to the stuff that had been built up, and a nice little small climax in this bit. This is the kind of stuff I really like from My Hero Academia. So you're wrong.
That's fair.
What's next? Food Wars is next. This could actually go really quickly, I think.
Someone's been invited to the blue credits.
That's basically it. And his dad asks him if he still wants to take over Yukihira's shop, and Soma's like, "Yes!" That's basically it.
I mean, here's the thing. I do like this. I like this a lot because it goes to reinforce, because the whole thing's where the dad's like, hey, you're fucking incredible. You're insane. Like, you've accomplished stuff not even I could. I was never the first seat on the council. Like, and you did it in your second year. Like, this is insane. Like, you're insanely talented. So with all this, like, obviously you want to push
yourself.
Well, you want to push yourself. Like, there's still so much more of this world, and all this sort of stuff. And someone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yukihira is the greatest restaurant there is. That's the best place anyone could ever dream to work. And it's a nice kind of like reestablishing of the character. I think it's weird they throw in like the extra added bit where he's like, well, if I can't win at the blue, then I'm not going to take over. And I'm just like, I mean, Erina's like future, I guess, is already kind of up for the line in this. I don't know.
Well, he doesn't know that though.
Yeah, but they don't. I'm just saying, narratively, do we need like another stipulation of just like, well, if he loses this and he can't take over Yukihira? It's like, I feel like Erina not being forced into a marriage she doesn't want to should be a little bit more important than Soma being like, well, I'm just gonna put this restriction on myself. But I do like the reinforcing of what is kind of the intrinsically Soma mentality, where he's just like, good home cooking is better than anything else because of that personality you get with it. And that's what I want. That's like, I don't care if I'm the greatest. I don't care if I have all these resources. Yukihira shop is the destination in my mind. Like, that's where the best chef would be.
I do wish that we would get this stuff from Soma more often than we do, because it feels like he only really brings this up every 150 chapters or something like that. It doesn't feel like a very essential part of his character, this attachment that he has to the restaurant that he grew up in. He's always talking about how great it is and stuff, but what it actually means to him is something that feels very much just tacked on, because he doesn't do this stuff very often. This doesn't feel like something that's at the core of his motivation when it really should.
Nice.
Especially, I mean, like, this was... I'm not saying this is out of character for him. This is what we started off the series with, was he defended the restaurant, and because it was a place that he held great value with, and he wanted to take it over someday. And so in order to earn that privilege, he went to Totsuki, because he was shipped off there. And so he's like, okay, well, once I do this, then I'm going to go home and take my shop. And he's just kind of just doing stuff without really focusing on that as his end goal ever since. It only really comes up when he has a conversation with Joichiro, which is not very often. Also, there's a scary clown in this final page.
Well, yeah, because then, like, the other thing is, like, oh, and now we're going to go to the blue, and, like, they give us the cover page, and, like, one of them is just this giant evil clown, and you're like, was he not part of the fucking kidnapping BDSM drug group from last time?
I saw he's just like, that guy's way too freaky for us. Like, I'll hang out with chainsaw sword Nazi girl, but not him. No.
Yeah, fuck, that dude's freaky.
That's about all I have to say about Soma this week. So, Eden Zero.
Yeah, let's go to Eden Zero, Chapter 15, the Demon King's ship. And we get a picture of Rebecca on the cover dressed as like a sexy cowgirl. And I guess this is them being like, hey, we didn't get to use enough of that cowgirl from the last series because no one gave a fuck about them. So we're going to get it in here.
Oh, the sniper girl?
Yeah. So they're talking about how they're going to arrive at Blue Garden. And they're like, oh, well, I guess it's going to be kind of hard to dock since we're a giant pirate ship. So they're like, oh, okay, we'll just get close and then we'll use our ship to go. And Weiss is like, you mean my ship? And it's kind of weird they don't finish that argument, because then Shiki just like is staring into the middle distance and he's like, Grandpa's ship. It's now our ship. And Rebecca's like, you mean your ship? And he's like, no, we're a team, so it's our ship. And they have like a little moment of like, yeah. And I do like Weiss is like, so you're saying it's my ship too? And Shiki's like, no, you're not part of the team.
I do love that. He's like, you're not. When did I ever say that you were part of our team? Fuck off.
So
you're not in the club.
Yeah, you're kind of an asshole still.
He goes up into his treehouse and pulls up the rope ladder. Fuck off.
Yeah. They talk about how the fact that there's still all these weird bugs and everything, though, means they should probably get rid of those. There's a little joke at Shiki's expense because apparently he's a little uncomfortable around bugs. But they're going around, they're going to start cleaning up, and there's a small little moment where Shiki's like, oh, hey, what's up, Pino? Are you sad about Grandpa? And she's like, yes. And he's like, yeah, you're still part of the team. But she has this moment where she's like, Master, what did you make me for? Why was I on Norma? What is my reason for being?
Chris, I think that this chapter is going to be really deep and important character development. That's what's going to happen all through this chapter.
You know, I think you're joking, but that actually is what happens for a grand majority of it. There's just a lot of nudity, too. So they're cleaning the ship, and they're like, hey, it's a shared bath. I always wanted to try one. We should make a video.
On cue.
We should make a video. And I guess it's Rebecca who has to be like, no, we can't do nudity. YouTube will take us down. So I don't even know why, because there's another moment where Shiki's like, why do I have to help with the cleaning? And Shiki's like, no one asked you to. And then someone's like, put on clothes. And he's like, I guess I should go find clothes. And I assumed that was supposed to be the lead into like, okay, Rebecca started taking the bath and Shiki will walk in on her. That's actually not what happens at all. So it's just this weird little side scene to set up them getting new outfits later. But Rebecca does get in the bath. Behold, they didn't miss that opportunity.
No. This is a hero series and a bath was mentioned. You best believe that she is going to be barely censored.
That's the one qualification, is a bath was mentioned at some point. Even in passing, they're like, yeah, I took a bath yesterday. Hard cut to this hot chick in a bath with her breasts barely submerged beneath the water.
Can you imagine just like, I don't know, they're confronting a demon and he's like, now you will be bathed in the fires of hell. It's like, do you think that that's going to be like just cut to a hot succubus in a sauna somewhere?
Or, yeah, or someone like an idiot in the team like visualizes it as all the hot chicks are in the bath and fire and something like that. And he's just like, that sounds kind of hot.
Oh, okay.
So Rebecca is chillaxing, relaxing, feeling all good. And she, it's actually kind of like a cool spot because it's like a giant bath beneath like a window of the ship so you can see out into the cosmos. It seems like it'd be a pretty relaxing spot. And she's thinking about like, oh yeah, it's so cool. And we're going to go even farther than this. And when she's saying that, her arm starts to glow with runes. And we start seeing like from beneath the water, it's like going up her body from like her feet up. And they're like, whoa, maybe the bath has properties to activate the ether in your body.
Sure, why not?
And they're like, I wonder if I can use powers like Shiki. Ha! Ah! And then she actually does. Fires a fucking beam of energy out of her hand. It shoots through the ship and breaks a hole in it, sending her deep into the vacuum of space where she dies. Except she doesn't. The ship repairs itself beforehand. But she does smack her naked body up against the window. That has bars for some reason, and the bars just cover the important bits. But this is pretty significant because it seems as though Rebecca has ether gear as well. And maybe that's going to be kind of the gimmick of this series, is that all the characters have ether gears of different varieties, since her seems to shoot power. And that doesn't seem to reflect what Weiss or Shiki have. Afterwards, everyone reveals they have new outfits. It's not really worth talking about. But Rebecca does ask, like, how did you learn your ether gear? There's a cool kind of moment where Weiss is deflective of the question, because he's like, does it really matter? So I'm sure there's an actual answer to that, to his backstory. And Shiki just brags. He's like, I learned it in a month. Everyone's like, fuck you. So then Shiki sits down in a chair, and he makes a promise to get everybody to Mother. And by sitting in the chair, his ether gear kind of activates, and all the systems of the ship start opening up. And every time I see her, I can't not think it's Kyoka from the fucking fairy tale demon group Tartarus.
Yeah.
But it's not. She is Witch of the Demon King's 4 shining stars. Because every fucking thing in Fairy Tail needs to have a group with like a specific number.
Right.
I don't know. It seems like she's a good guy. Who knows? But she's like, yeah, I'm like sort of this thing for the ship that, you know, fixes it, repairs it, but I've been out of commission for a while. But since you're back, now I can do it. And she fixes the ship. And not only does she get rid of all the bugs and everything like that, I mean, God knows, they could have just genocided this entire species because they're like, get out of here, icky bugs. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it reconfigures the entirety of the ship, returning it to its original form, the jet black wings that soar across the cosmos, ether drive eternal navigation ship, the interstellar warship, Eden Zero. And it's a giant dragon ship shooting through space.
Yay!
And the chapter finishes then with everyone being like, wow, that kind of sounds like a bad guy's ship name, but whatever. And Witch says, I've waited for this day, great Demon King. And Chiki's like, well, you know, Grandpa's kind of dead. She's like, the new Demon King, Eden Zero's king, has finally returned. And you can see tears coming out of her little visor.
I will say I do like the Demon King aesthetic being followed through because Shiki is just like, well, I guess there's my command chair. And it's just a fucking throne. So very contrary to like, these are the heroes of the story. Also just the general ship, the ship in general is like, this is a villain ship. And there's like, our hero's ship, everyone.
One thing that did bother me though, is they make this big deal of like when a witch activates, she does this to the ship. And I was like, wait a minute. Isn't this specifically what we saw Weiss's special power was to like reconfigure ships and technology in any way he want? And you just had the next character to show up, do the exact same thing, but a much more impressive scale. It kind of feels like a sad, like, get the fuck down, Weiss. Your power's not so special. I did with this whole big ass ship. But otherwise, I like a lot of like sort of the world building of this chapter. I like teasing like Rebecca's gonna have a power, you know, and she has an ether gear. Maybe we don't know what the qualifications are for her having to activate it. It would seem weird if they were just like, well, yeah, it's a magic bath. You got to get in there, get naked, you get your powers. But I like that, and I also, as I said, I like that little tease that Weiss has some kind of secret to why or how he learned his power, and he's not sharing that with the group.
I do have to wonder if like the clothes that they're wearing are just going to be like their ship's uniforms, which would be a kind of a cool thing. Is like when we're on the ship, we wear this uniform, then when we land on a planet, we'll just, you know, do what the fuck ever. A nice excuse for here to just be like, okay, I get to draw different outfits, you know. I will say that it did really bother me that Witch shows up and is like, I will obey your every command. And Chiki's like, all right, bark like a dog.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I was trying to pretend it didn't happen, I think.
Get on your knees, Trish.
There's always so much shit like this in Hero series.
I guess he wouldn't be being true to himself if he didn't include it. Yeah. Anyway, you've got another one in a row. We Never Learn.
Oh, right. What's the series that's normally there? Oh, Jump Starts and other shit. That's right.
Roto, which we don't have.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris. From one fetishy bathroom scene to another.
We Never Learn. Question 82. Sometimes the detained predecessor struggles with the immediate ex.
What is it? What does he say about We Never Learn in comparison to Nisekoi, Chris? What is it that you say?
It's much better.
It's much better.
Yeah. As we'll find out for this chapter. It's an Ashumi chapter, so
it's going to be good.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's probably the most fun of all the girls, so usually you get a lot of good stuff with that. So chapter opens, and they're cleaning up the maid cafe, but it's super early. But, you know, Yuega's just like, you know, I'll do it. You help me out so much, so I don't mind helping you out in return. That's a good thing. And Asumi teases him because she's just like, oh, isn't it kind of exciting? Like, only the two of us are here, you know? And, hey, you know, we're cleaning kind of like the bathroom. We're like in this tight little space together. And they're like, wow, the bathroom is really, really clean. But then they don't realize it, but outside, the mop has fallen over and is basically kind of like stuck them inside. It's jammed the door. So like, holy crap, the door won't open. Oh, jeez. So what are they going to do, Nick? They're stuck inside. It's like that episode of Clerks where Jay and Silent Bob and Dante and Rand, I guess all of them get stuck in the freezer and they make a bunch of flashback jokes, even though it's the second episode of the series.
I guess what they could do is they could get on their phones and call somebody.
It's not working. You know,
oh, no.
They don't have their phones.
Oh no.
They were like, we don't want to be distracted while we're cleaning. So everyone, and that's the two of us, put our phones in this jar outside this room so we're not going to be tempted to check our phones while we're cleaning.
All right, everyone, we're going into the bathroom to clean, so everyone leave the phones just outside the door.
So instead, what they decide to do...
And let's close the door behind us.
Yeah, well, you got to do that.
Because when you use a bunch of cleaning products, the main thing you want to make sure is that you trap all the fumes inside.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're giving all the good tips. All the spooktacular Halloween tips on how to enjoy your cleaning process this year. So they brought their physics textbooks in them because they didn't want to be distracted a little bit. And they're like, well, we'll do physics.
We brought our textbooks, but not our phones.
So we'll do some physics puzzles instead. And they're going over it. But Yuega's really kind of nervous. He's like, what am I going to do? And Sumi's like, shut the fuck up. Like, another staff member is going to be here in a couple hours. So if we just study, the time will go quickly. And she kind of jokes. She's like, oh, right, you're into older women hitting on you in enclosed spaces, aren't you? You look excited right now. Naughty. He's like, shut up. Where'd you find out? Who told you? But yeah, he kind of thinks, he's like, wow, you know, she's not even fazed by this going on. I should really kind of learn to be cool like that. But then time starts to go by. An hour goes by. And they're still trying to solve this. Suddenly, Shubi's the one kind of fidgeting a bit more. It happens more and more as we see like time passing. And then finally, 2 hours goes by. And she slams the books closed. And she's like, it's no time to be chilling in here. We got to get out of here as quickly as possible. And he's like, but you just said to like chill out, not worry. And she's like, well, women are fickle creatures. Don't question me. And she glances over to the toilet. And I do like this because Yuega's like, do you have to go to the bathroom? She's like, no! Pixie maids still go to the bathroom! Girls don't poop! So, like, okay, well, there's an air vent. Like, maybe you could fit through the air vent. So she climbs up on his shoulders, but she's too short to get to the air vent. And she starts having it happen. Like, she starts having the urge to go again. But if she does it now, she'd pee on his neck, which would be really unfortunate. So it's very awkward. But finally, she gets to the grate and she opens it. But there's a mouse inside. And
just chilling out.
Yeah, and she screams because it's a mouse. It's actually a pretty friendly mouse. Like, it opens and the mouse is high. The mouse is like, sap. You guys come here often?
I'm a mouse, so...
And
that's about it. That's about all you need to know about my life.
Asumi is screaming and punching Yuega, and I love Yuega's thought. He's like, is this what it's like being alone with a girl in a private space? I didn't think it would be like this.
She locks in a fucking sleeper hold on him.
And the mouse runs away to its mouse family, because the one mouse is like, baby, and the other one has a little mustache, so I assume that's its mouse parents. Which is fucking great. And then Asumi finally kind of sighs, like, I need to ask you a big favor. Look away and close your ears.
It's just like that one episode of How I Met Your Mother, where Lily and Marshall are trapped in the bathroom together and they don't want to go to the bathroom in front of each other.
Yeah, I assume so. I don't watch Garbage, so I never saw it.
Oh, it does have a really bad conclusion. So.
So she's like, for real, I'll never forgive you. So he's like, oh man, this is really like, why'd I leave that mop there? Oh, jeez. Oh, there's no time to go down a shame spiral.
Oh man.
So we get a couple scenes of what is Asumi, I guess, presumably pulling down her underwear. And then ting-a-ling, the, I guess I don't know if it's a manager or receptionist. I don't know who she is. I don't think I've
She's another maid.
Before. I don't know, because I thought we actually seen the owner of the place, and it's like a guy, like an older guy.
Yeah, but she's another maid, probably.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. They're like, oh, hey, thanks for doing the cleanup, huh? Wonder where she is. She must be in the bathroom. And she sees that the mop is stuck to the door. She's like, oh, no, are you okay? And she opens the door as Asumi's about to go to the bathroom. And Yuiga just has this moment where he's like doing physics equations to himself, closing his ears. And there's a funny moment because it's just like, what were you going to do with him in there? And Asumi's just like, get the fuck out so I can pee! Credits. Best chapter, Nick. 10 out of 10. I'll be honest, I'm pretty impressed with the restraint this chapter showed, because they could have made it a lot more sexual than it was.
Honestly, the worst part is just that one page of Asumi very embarrassedly taking her panties off, because it's just like, that's so fetishy.
It's the fan servicey part of it, which is unfortunate. But it still has the jokes that make me laugh. So, I don't know.
I mean, I do admit that I like the moments with the mouse rushing to its parents, but in general, it's such a contrived situation, and also this was fairy tale levels of sexual humor to me. Like, I did not like this in the slightest.
I know.
Yay! Talk about Dr. Stone, Chris. No one pees or takes a bath in this one. So what do we have to talk about?
There is poop, though.
There's poop. So Z equals 77. The power of science. So Tsukasa and Hyoga are kicking everybody's ass as they try to defend the Cave of Miracles. We get some cool action poses from them. I like the one where Hyoga is whirling his spear in a circle and Tsukasa does like a backflip over him. It's cool stuff. And things are not going well. Tsukasa wrecks the shot cannon that they have, for example. Gen is panicking inside the cave as they desperately try to find stuff. They come up with one idea, which is like, I know, maybe we'll get some white crystals from this concoction, and that'll give us something we can use as a weapon. And Senku's like, yeah. Well, it didn't make any white crystals. I guess we're fucked. Ginro and Magma try and launch a 3-on-1 attack with Tsukasa, and he just does this whirling dervish attack where he takes all of them out. And meanwhile, Kohaku is taking on Hyoga 1-on-1. While that's all happening, Chrome has managed to find the remains of the Molotov that the tank launched at the very start of the battle. And from that, they can scrounge up some stuff from that. And Senku's like, I know, and we can use this soap as well to add to it. It's the first science item that I whipped up in front of Tsukasa, the life-preserving stone, Dr. Stone. And he says to himself, this battle began with soap, and now soap is what's going to end it. Lines I never thought that would be reading, but here we are.
Except if you were like trying to talk down like a coworker of yours who doesn't like take baths. You're just like, soap brought us to this conversation, now soap shall end it, and you forcibly have to bathe them.
Boss comes in, you're fired. Oh, which one? Both of you.
I'm not answering that, so everyone here just assume you're fired. I'm firing myself.
I do love this moment because Kohaku, she gets knocked on her ass by Hyoga, but she manages to grab his spear. And she's like, I got you. You can stab at me all you want, but I won't let it go because you're powerless without your pipe spear. And Hyoga's just like, got a spare.
It's like, God damn it. Well, fuck.
So Hyoga says, like, you may keep that one. In the throes of despair, ordinary people quickly resort to futile resistance. But Kohaku says, I don't remember despairing, ever. What you don't get is that this is all adding up. Our fighting and their science. Each person's contribution, no matter how small, adds up, little by little, to create something greater. And so we've bought just enough time for Senku and the science team to turn this around. Because we believe in science and in Senku. Inside the cave, Senku has just made nitro fucking glycerin.
He's like, and if I blow up the cave, then no one has to know I fucked up.
So then they're like, okay, we've got some nitroglycerin. We can use this, and we can use it to save everyone. And the problem is we need to deliver it across the battlefield without setting it off first. And Gen throws a paper airplane into Senku's forehead. And then we get an explanation of how to create the greatest flying paper airplane. Just like, here's how you fold this. It won a Guinness World Record. And then they dip the nitroglycerin on the paper airplane and throw it across the battlefield. And it hits a tree and it blows shit up. And that's where the chapter ends. What a chapter.
It's a very thrilling chapter. It's very exciting. You know, we kind of get to this notion of like the end of all this. I'm finding it hard to find real enthusiasm. Not as a fault of the chapter, but as a fault the Giants just keep getting their shit pushed in by the Philadelphia Eagles as this game is going on. And it's very deflating. Even for the Spookmaster General, who cares very little about sports.
But Chris, don't you mean the Philadelphia Scream-Goals?
It's stupid.
Well, can you imagine that?
It would be the Boo York Giants and the Filthy Delphia Eagles.
Ickles.
Yeah, Ickles. Yeah, there you go. There we go. High five to the internet, Nick. Whoosh. That wasn't on time at all. But no, I actually do like the chapter. I always love those chapters where it's just like, hey, all of us kind of failed, but what you don't realize is that the small little efforts that we all put in are actually sort of like the key reason for why you didn't succeed.
Well, and that's been kind of a theme of Dr. Stone in terms of how science works as well, is that success is built upon a mountain of failures because you learn from them. So it's a different way of carrying through that on that lesson. Well, Chris, we don't have a chapter of the 7 Deadly Sins this week.
Nope.
So I guess we'll just keep right on trucking with the Jumps series with the Promised Neverland. It's chapter 106, The Way Out. Chris, you're not going to believe this. Kids find a way out.
I don't believe you.
So
they found a way past Ange Brew?
Did you say Ange Brew?
Yeah, well, Ange Brew. I didn't know if you'd get it. So
it's for Oktoberfest. Not all Oktoberfests have to be Halloween themed.
Yeah, sometimes it's about Rocktober then, Nick. That's why I'm wearing my Foo Fighters shirt.
There you go.
The scariest band in existence. Dave Grohl sometimes drum battles Animal.
There goes my hero. Watch him as he goes. Yeah, it's a real scary song, all right? Yeah. So Andrew's like, we have to find these children. They've got a lot of weapons. Intelligence slightly different. Anyway, guys on my team, I'm radioing you to let you know to kill those children. The kids are like, what are we going to do? And Ray's like, I have to kill all of them.
This is like a chapter where Ray just fucking loses it. He's just like, there's no chance. There's no survivals. I'll have to kill everyone. And like, I imagine in his...
You mean kill all of your attackers and save your family, right? I have to kill everyone!
And I imagine this in his mind. He's like, this is what you've been training for, Ray, all these years. As you've mastered the 2 dual katanas and the assault rifle attachments that you put on both ends of them. Now is your time to truly prove yourself.
It is finally time, #Ray, to unleash the AK trucks. He's got a chain right between 2 assault rifles.
You have 7 years of experience with Krav Maga and 10 years with Taekwondo, watching videos on the internet. You're a master at all these martial arts now.
Finally, all that time researching weapons from Ruby will pay off. Now to unleash my rocket launcher katana.
Take us! We say that knowing full well that the series is a gun that shoots nets and 4 other settings that I don't know if we saw all the ones for.
I think we did, no.
God damn it, I keep losing my hat.
Keep in mind that this is Ray, who has had like a year and a half in this hideout, so who knows what kind of stuff that he's managed to create in his spare time. Goodbye. All right. So Ray comes to that conclusion, although he's like, but they're human. We'll have to kill people. Even if I could. What about Emma and the others? I guess that's just more kills for me.
He's like, I guess I'll just have to kill everyone for everybody.
Don't worry, I'll carry this team to victory. We're going to regionals.
He's like, don't worry, everybody. I've mained Hanzo for the last 12 years just for today. I don't need to see what I'm shooting at. Just like, Ray, that's not even close to what he says. He's just like, it's just supposed to be gibberish, isn't it? Like, no,
no, it's Japanese. What the fuck is that?
It sounds awesome.
I must learn it immediately. I'm going to start fan subbing our series, Emma. I have to protect all of my nakama. Nakama means comrades.
I'm going to make sure that my phrases say fucking them a lot more than are necessary. I want everyone to know I have an edge.
It's like it just takes out an assault rifle and like a special attack name splashes in multiple colors across the screen. And it's just like, Ray shoots a gun!
Fuckers! It's like clearly the character's mouth isn't moving on screen.
It's also a fan dub. I voice everyone. Gosh, Ray, you're so handsome. Gosh, Ray, you're so smart. Yes, I am. Now to save everyone. Goodbye, Norman. Good job carrying out the plan that I definitely made. You're definitely dead and never coming back.
But I'll miss you. Nakama.
That means friend.
Nakama means comrade, but it has no English equivalent.
Oh my god, Ray, shut the fuck up! I can't hear you. You're not dubbed in this series, Emma. It just goes wah 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 whenever you talk.
I haven't gotten to your lines yet, because I don't know how girls talk. I assume you say something about flowers?
We've known each other for literally our entire lives. Maybe for you, but I have baby memories.
His mind, he's just.
You didn't come around for like the first year and a half. Things were better then.
His mind, he's like, Emma, there's no time to clean the kitchen. We had to get out of here. We won't have time to make dinner. They're closing in on us.
Emma will never be able to kill these humans. She spent all of her time playing Cooking Mama.
Well, I played the tough games, like Overwatch. While I played Mortal Kombat on the Sega Genesis with the blood code turned on.
Why wouldn't you play with the cheat codes? It makes it more like real life where you can't possibly be defeated. Anyway, so
we get a very nice map of everything that I don't feel like a lot of time was spent on.
It doesn't come up at all.
I was like, I feel like a lot of time was spent on this map. You'd assume they would have done something beyond be like, we get out there. I'm like, am I supposed to be doing this puzzle at home? Because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Rossi, the kid who was with Lucas, comes back and he's got the fucking radio. And he's like, with this, we know their positions. And so they're like, so they're here, 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 and here. And we're here. And if we go this way, we'll just go straight past everyone and reach the exit. We can break through. We got out.
And you're just like, that was shockingly easy.
That was not tense in the slightest. Also, Lucas killed a man.
How did Adam get out? Because his body width is like 4 times that of the other kids. Did he like lift his arm straight up his head and like worm his way up the tube?
You just see like Adam in the background of one of the shots. He's taking off his ninja mask. That explains it. So they get out, and then they're like, but they'll just chase after us. So Yugo says, kids, now's your chance. Lucas and I will catch up with you. We need to make sure the other 6 won't be able to come after us. And they're like, we'll stay and help you. No, you kids go ahead. Besides, we need to use these gas masks. It's only enough for 2 of us. So now the gas and guns won't work on us. This is the best way. Don't worry. We definitely won't make a heroic sacrifice, and we'll meet up with you later. Come on, Lucas, let's go make our heroic sacrifice and not meet up with them later. End of chapter.
Yeah, I mean, they have their whole thing of like, back to our nostalgic shelter. Time perfect for our final resting place. And, I mean, theoretically it could be. It does feel weird that there was this whole big thing of like, Andrew and his team have been hunting these guys. They've systematically eliminated all the support they had. They came in with this team because they knew every single entrance that this place had. And I gathered that there's a few things they didn't know. But the fact that like this absolute trap was done out by like fucking Lucas being like, I killed one of the dudes, we can get out that way now. And everyone does. And that's it. There's no further conflict there. And now it's like these 2 guys being like, I guess we could just keep running. I mean, we do have, I guess, the advantage on them, and then if we fought them later, it'd be an open combat, which I guess is more dangerous. It's just this thing of like, well, we're out. I guess we'll go jump back into the hole, though, and die, or something like that.
Well,
it's just like,
I do understand the point.
Yeah.
Andrew and the others have tracked them down this far, so they will just keep on coming after them and eventually find them, I think.
Yeah, I get why they're doing it. I mean, narratively, it's this somewhat unsatisfying resolution of, well, we're pinned, we're trapped. Chris has been shot. 2 of our friends, I don't know their names, they're dead. What are we going to do to get out of this? Because the enemy knows essentially all of our moves and has us completely trapped, and we're outgunned. And then they're like, well, we made it. We got out. In the next chapter, we're out. And it's like, but the situation isn't done, because now we're going to go inside, and the 2 adults are going to try to kill everyone else, let everyone else escape. It's just like, I don't know, it's just not as satisfying as like finding a more complicated way to get out or a more interesting way of getting out. Or
seeming like, I mean, they just had everything kind of handed to them. It's just like, oh, if we just go in this straight fucking line, we can get out. It's like, come on. So I am disappointed in the conclusion of that, and just like, fine, whatever, let's just move on and do something more interesting at least. Chris!
Yes.
What happens in Black Clover, Chris?
What, you mean Black Clover?
Yes, that is what I meant. I meant Black Grocer.
Ooh, I like that one. Well, it's page 170. Sex. That's not a good pun. I was trying to find. Wait a minute. Sibulines. Got it. Nailed it. Spookmaster General firing on all cylinders. My power grows higher as the closer we get to Halloween.
Air horns go off.
This fucking mask keeps hitting my goddamn mic.
Take off the mask.
It's really annoying. I can't. It's all part of the character.
It's going to be like that one story from Goosebumps where you're going to try and take it off at the end, but it's melded with your face and you can't.
I'm like, Nick, help! Okay, so...
You brought this on yourself.
The chapter starts, and they're having this fight against Compass Lady when Noelle, or should I say, Buell, says, right, I just need to get that in there. So she has this compass magic, and it's making it so everything they shoot at her is reflected away, and everything she fires will no doubt hit its mark. She fires a couple more of those needles, and Nozel has to use his mercury magic to create shields to basically block them from just goring them. So they're like, wow, in this area I can't even form a sea dragon lair because, I can't use Mana Skin and Sea Dragon's Lair at the same time. And Nozel was thinking like, man, even with my ability to manipulate magic, this is the best I could do. So what do we do now? And Noelle starts thinking, she's like, what would Asta do? What would the Bulak Bulls do? And I forget what his name is every fucking time.
Solid.
Solid is his pun name this time. Solid is like, if we don't break our spell, we're trapped here. So they're like, wait a minute. That's right. So Noelle uses her big spell, and Nozel kind of, I don't know particularly what he I guess he covers them in a shield so they won't drown with her. Yeah, that's what happens. So Nozel covers them in mercury, keeping Noelle's arms as the only thing outside, and she just fills the space with water. So because of this, the Compass Lady's magic is trapping her in this water, and she's like, I have to release it or I'll drown. And she's like, that's crazy how fast and everything it was. And the moment she releases it, Nozel impales her with a bunch of fucking knives and mercury shit. And you're like, wow, you did it. You're so powerful. And he's like, you know what? I can't say that was suitable for a royal. It was an absurd way to fight. But thanks to you, we won. So this is the fighting style you've mastered. And he kind of knows. He's like, you look just like our mother. And I was afraid of losing her again. But you've grown strong, and that means I was wrong. So I apologize. No.
Bullshit. Bullshit. You're not. Don't fucking pull his like, oh, no. He really did love his sister. Don't try and fucking pull a Byakuya on me. Fuck you. Fuck you. This is bullshit.
Okay. So Nozel says, like, the fight isn't over. We need to get Nebra treated quickly, or else, before he can say anything, he's impaled 3 times by compass wands, and they see that the area now has expanded, and it's full of spinning, like, kind of circling compass pointers. It's such a weird, like, I wish they had, like, a better name, like, I guess needle swords, I guess is what you'd call them, when you're like, the deadly needles spinning around, the deadly arrows, pointers, or whatever. And they impaled her, Nozel rather. And Compass Lady's not dead yet, and she's actually stronger. She's more intense, more powerful. And there's nothing we can do. And Noelle's like, I can't give up. I have to find something, some sort of plan. I can't, after Nozel finally acknowledged me. And I presume this is one of her spell pages now just suddenly filled itself in.
Yes, yes.
It's that thing, again, where characters...
Time for a power-up!
It's not even that. It's that, like, gaining new powers feels very ill-defined for this sort of series. Again, like, if you've watched Zatch Bell in any extent, you're like, oh, like, that's how you do this better, when you make it, like, a big deal and you kind of, like, establish that you only have a certain number of spells and you can only cast a certain number. Like, and this was just like a new spell came in. I'm like, I feel like there could be more pomp and circumstance for this. But Noelle thinks, hey, if nothing changes, then Nozel and Nebra are going to die. And even though I have no good memories of them, they're my family, my siblings. So she summons magic and she's like, long distance magic isn't going to work. So I need something close. What if it's close to me, nearer, denser? Yeah, that's something I could do because of this situation and because of who I am now. That sort of spell. And she casts water creation magic, Valkyrie armor, and she gives herself armor of pure water and a lance for an arm that's just a spinning kind of whirlwind of water that looks like it could cut anything. And I'm not sure where, but she gets pants too. She has pants now. And she's a little crown. I don't know why you spend and waste water making the crown, but she has everything.
Making a helmet would be ridiculous. So
yeah. It really fucks with me. I don't know where she gets the pants. Like, did she make water pants?
I don't really know. I will say, though, I think she looks awesome. And I'm glad that this is continuing to be Noelle's fight It's not someone else coming in to save the fucking day like it always is. So hopefully that stays true all the way through to the conclusion of this.
I didn't mind this chapter. I thought it was fine. I mean, it is sort of this odd sense that Noelle really is just treated like shit by her family, and at least in this
But I have to save them.
But at least in this moment, Noelle does seem like he's somebody who's kind of realized the error of his ways to at least some extent. There probably could be more to explain it, but they've spent enough time together that I'm kind of like, and Noelle's proved herself enough at this point that I feel it's okay for at least the most open-minded member of the family to finally be like, all right, I accept you. And because that, Noelle's like, no, when there's finally a chance now to like get a strong connection with my family, I can't lose them. Even though two of these assholes are still fuckwits rather, and they just fucking annoy me and I hate them. So it's fine though, because they're still family. I want to save them, etc. Like, it's all very good, but I don't know. There's like a small thing that's listening. I want to like the armor more than I do. It's such a strange outfit. I don't know how to put it. Like, it looks cool to some extent, but it's just, there's something about it that just doesn't strike me as cool in the way I want it to. But I'm interested to see where they go with it. I mean, this could be like a unique kind of transformation, I guess. Maybe this is what's odd. Does it seem strange that like the strongest magic we tend to see is the one that's like almost the antithesis of what magic normally is? That like Asta and his sword's like the strongest magic there is, and now Noelle in her strongest power up has equipped a lance and put on armor and is about to charge into the fray combat. I don't know. It's just sort of an oddity of it, I guess.
What, you're only just now realizing this?
Yeah.
My magic is cutting things. My magic is I have a sword that cuts things. Mm-hmm. My magic is I have a katana that cuts things.
Well, it's more so that in this specific moment, Noelle's strongest spell was one where she makes it makes sense though for this, because I guess I don't know if they've officially stated it, but I guess the logic would be that Compass Lady's magic can't redirect melee attacks.
Well, and also suggesting that it's much denser, I guess, would be make it more difficult to do that.
Potentially, yeah. I like this chapter. I think for the most part, it's pretty good.
Okay, we're gonna close things out with One Piece, chapter 920, For Love of Odin. So this is our big, important historical figure chapter that you often get in One Piece arcs. But it's very clear we don't get the whole story just yet. Katakuri is explaining a bunch of stuff to the Straw Hats in front of him, and there's a clear point that's part of a montage where he's telling them things, and we don't hear what's being said. And at the end of it, everyone has this really huge emotional reaction, and I'm just kind of like, okay, what happened? Because they're all crying, and I don't know what the fuck has actually been said. And I think that Odin is just saving that reveal for later. But we do get an idea that like this Odin apparently charmed Whitebeard and Gold Roger, and he took Dogstorm and Cat Viper under his wing when they were children. He was cast out of his family, but then he became a hero of the people. He created the Paradise Farm for people. He was given the title of Daimyo of Curry when he was just 20 years old. But then he was taken to the Flower Capital as a criminal, tried, and executed. And that's basically it in terms of what his story actually is. So a lot of particulars don't seem to get brought up, and we also cut around to Zoro, who is wandering around because he's gotten lost, and Dogstorm, who is explaining the story to someone.
I feel like there's just 7 people just like telling the story to like nobody.
So, you're talking to a wall.
He's like, yes, but the camera's going to cut to me after a while. So, Lord, did Odin open the gates and say, it's too cramped?
So Katakuri finishes telling this story to the Straw Hats, and he says that for them who have traveled through time, this all happened only a few months ago, despite the fact that it was 20 years in the past. And since then, of course, they had to escape. So they left the execution area. They headed straight for Odin Castle. They got separated from Dogstorm and Cat Viper when they were starting to fight. And then they got to the castle, but Kaido's forces had already reached there. The castle was on fire. And so the only people in the castle that were still alive were Momonosuke, his sister, Hiyori, and their mother, Kozuki Toki. And there had been a rumor that Toki had not been born in Era, but had been born long ago, and she confirmed that to us. And she says that she was going to use the strange time ability that she has, or Toki, I think actually is what time is in Japanese, come to think of it. And so she explains this and says, like, so I'm going to send you into the future. And Katakuri agreed to do this, along with Kanjuro and Raizo. And so they left 20 years into the future when the castle was just, rubble, basically. And they leapt forward along with Okiku and with Momonosuke. No word on what the hell happened with Hiyori. Maybe she was just like, no, my daughter's dying with me. So they set about, of course, trying to figure out what happened. They did find some people that were, used to be retainers to the old shogun and were still loyal to them. They told them about the prophecy that Lady Toki had made, suggesting that the Kozuki clan would be avenged in 20 years' time. Turns out it's because she knew exactly when she was sending them to. And so they knew this, like, okay, so now we still have allies. So they set about trying to gather forces in order to actually take back Odin. And so Okiki was left behind so that they could she could investigate on the enemy. And as they started traveling around, that was when Katakuri's smaller group got broken up. Raizo got washed away and ended up on Zou. Kanjuro got separated from them when they arrived in Dressrosa, and Momonosuke got taken onto a boat, and then he came across Caesar Clown and Law split him apart, and that was how they found his face separated from his body. Yeah, now you're all caught up. And this is now we know, the whole story. Now you know the whole story. Just Straw Hats and not the audience. And he explains that their plan now is to gather a very strong force, not just Luffy and the Straw Hats, not just Law and his Heart Pirates, but also the Mink from Zou, various samurai that are still loyal to them, and they're trying to shoot for an army of 5,000 people, not to participate in a war, but to carry out a raid in 2 weeks' time on the night of the Fire Festival. We will travel to Kaido's base of Onigashima, the island of ogres, and carry out a raid. So
there's a couple things that's pretty interesting about this. One thing I'm trying to figure out is this seems like we're setting up to get a return of Straw Hat's fleet. Okay, say like we need at least 5,000 people, and I think there's around that number in the various different crews of the Straw Hat, like Grand Allegiance or whatever. So I wouldn't be shocked to see them make a return. There's one other very interesting thing in this, and this is something I've seen other people point out. I haven't read the theories on this, but there's definitely been a lot of them. So if you go back to page 57, and you look at the panel of Toki talking to everybody. You could see Raiju, you could see Kanjuro, you could see Kinemon, and you see another person wearing one of those like rice hats, a long hat, and has like a diamond on it. We don't know what happened to that character. They don't refer to this character. They don't say what happened to him, but we've seen apparently different visuals of this character, at least in other materials. I'm not sure if any of these are necessarily official. I know I've seen some with him like talking to Whitebeard. So it seems like there's another character we've yet to sort of meet in this whole thing that's going to be a very significant character. And I wouldn't be shocked if in some way it connects to some of the Whitebeard characters. It does feel, I guess, somewhat notable that we had like a big Marco kind of introduction before this arc started. Maybe there's something to connect to that or some way, but it's worth noting there's like another little element here that we've yet to still fully have revealed.
Yeah, there's it's one of those kind of classic One Piece things where, you know, you answer a bunch of questions and then ask almost twice as many as you've just answered. You know, bring up a bunch of like, well, what happened to this character? What happened to this character? Okay, well, what's going on with this? What is this thing that you briefly alluded to? What happened with that? It's like, oh, okay, he met Whitebeard and Roger. Okay, what did they do? What is all this stuff that the Straw Hats are reacting to? It's like, well, you'll have to find out later. So, and of course, One Piece is going off next week because that happens every time seemingly we get one of these sorts of chapters.
It's just how it be, right?
Mm-hmm. But it's an enjoyable enough chapter. It's like not a super great one, but it's intriguing, I guess I should say.
I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot to kind of explore. We're in that point of One Piece where we're building up the next arc, and there's still a lot to kind of digest. There's a lot to really kind of explain and set up what this arc's going to be. We have this concept of like it's going to be a big raid, but we also know like there's a lot of various factors here. The crew outside of the like other three members of the Straw Hats who are still undercover, like we haven't fully reunited them. We know about like the flower capital, I think as it's called. Like we know that location, but we don't know, like we haven't seen the actual Shogun yet. We haven't seen Kaido appear yet. We know that Kid and Apu would be somewhere involved in this, that they're part of Kaido's alliance. So those are two characters who could presumably show up. Like, there's a lot of factors that we still just haven't gotten to explore yet, and I'm sure we will.
Yeah. All right. Well, with all that said, I think that we are going to wrap things up here. So let's name our favorites. Favorite series and MVP.
I guess my favorite chapter is probably Black Clover this week. Trying to think if anything. Yeah, I think that'd be my favorite chapter.
Cool.
The spook. Sorry, Black Clover. Boo.
Okay. There you go. My favorite chapter this week, thank you, was My Hero Academia. I realized the conclusion.
You mean Boo Hero Academia?
That's not what it's called.
My Hero Academia.
Okay. Anyway, let's see.
Don't you mean Scary Way?
What do you...
Nick, my powers get stronger the closer we are to All Hallows Eve, and sometimes it's too much for even my physical form to take.
I don't know if the exact wording of what you've just said is true or not. So, my MVP this week, anyhow, is Soma. As much as I, expressed like, oh, I wish that this was something to have more often, I did really like the stuff that he showed in this chapter, centering himself, basically, saying like, this is what the meaning of all of this is to him, more than all of the weird shenanigans going on with kidnappings and forced marriages and stuff. It's like, this is what the plot of the story means to him more than anything else. So. And it's nice to have that from a main character.
I will agree with that. I would put Soma as my MVP this week as well.
Cool. We're going to call it here then. Thank you everyone for joining us for Weekly Manga Recap. We record the show on smashcast.tv/RoloT and twitch.tv/RoloT. Thursdays, usually around 7:30-ish Eastern Time. Although you can follow us for updates at WMR Podcast, as well as your hosts at RoloT and at Nick F. Time. Be sure to check out our past episodes on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com, on our YouTube channel, and on iTunes. Chris put up a number of episodes from the past several weeks, so you can check out the backlog there if you haven't already. Also, use that stuff to leave a rating, subscribe, leave a comment, help out the algorithm so that we can dethrone the woodworkers and control the hobby section on iTunes. Also, you can send us feedback by emailing us, weeklymangarecap@yahoo.com. You can also use that to email us questions for our Q&A episodes, which we need more of, and to make suggestions for future manga for us to read. And if you don't feel like writing an email, you can also join our Discord server and use the recommendations chat to make a series recommendation for us to check out, such as...
From the depths of hell, I've pulled this recommendation, conjured forth by the user Gary Elfson. For our next spooktacular series, we will be recapping Untitled Nova, a series about a boy who discovers he can have out-of-body experiences. But I think it might actually just be kind of a sexy series. I'm not really sure, but it has spooky-esque powers. Thunderclap, thunderclap, thunderclap.
Okay. So, with that said, as I said, if you want us to read a series that you have in mind, send it into the recommendations channel on our Discord server. Special thanks go out to our Patreon supporters. Your support lets us create bonus content for you guys to enjoy. And special thanks as well, in particular, to Steve Mann, our tile card artist, and to Infamous Planet for the stuff that you do for us. Thank you guys. And so we will get to work on Untitled Nova and have that soon.
Yes, but I suppose for the moment I need to go pick up this nickel that I found down on the floor.
What?
Nick, it's Chris. I'm back for a moment. Whatever you do, don't turn off the lights!